Hello, guys. It's Lucas,
George.
and welcome to Sith Council's videos, Star Wars Rebels recap show. We're on episode, I want to say it's 16? 16, not including the Siege of the Fall. And this episode, the Shroud of Darkness, was by far my favorite episode of the entire season. We finally got to see a little bit of the things that we saw in the trailer. And we've been having these, no offense, but the last 3 or 4 episodes I could have gone without of, but I understand why they did it. But let's start off with what we liked about the episode. George, go ahead.
Well, obviously, greatest villain of all time, Darth Vader, showed his face today. And, I mean, it was only one clip, not even maybe half a clip. I mean, he just walked in and said one line, but that's good enough for me. Yeah, like you said, I mean, like, you had the Force, you had Yoda. Yoda shows up, talks to Ezra. You have, the cool thing was the Grand Inquisitor, probably one of the guys I really hated in the first season, and obviously he's dead, came back, and it turns out he was probably a Jedi that turned rogue, turned to the Sith. Whether he wanted to do that to survive or he just turned, I mean, we won't know, but that's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, man, I you can just see me. I'm smiling. I am grinning ear to ear. I love this episode. If you're a fan of Clone Wars, you'll definitely like this episode because they give some callbacks to Anakin. Though I will talk about something that I did not like later, but I did enjoy the hell out of this episode. I really liked how they went into. They started off. We got a fight scene right at the beginning, like a saber fight.
When I came in, I asked him, "Did I miss something?"
They
just started fighting.
It was sweet. It right off the bat. It grabs your attention. Like, hey, Kanan and Ezra are going out there by themselves. Them and Chopper. It's Chopper. But they go out and find this place, but you don't even know where it is. Like, it's just all you see is like the opening scene is like lightsabers going, and it's just like, yes.
It's kind of like in Star Wars, like in your face, basically. I mean, it's kind of like when they open up with like Episode 3, when it just like it goes out in space and they're just in this huge galactic space battle. It's kind of like it kind of gave me that feeling.
Yeah, and it's just like and then when you got the teamwork going and you see that Ezra is really, really growing into becoming a Jedi. Yeah. And when he's off the edge and Kanan's like, what are you doing? Like, we got to do this. And then he's like, oh, hold up. I'm going to do something. He calls out these huge flappy things. Like, I don't even know what they're called. Like, it's just, it's like a space whale with wings. Let's just say that.
It's the same. Are those the same thing from the,
Oh, yeah, from that one episode that we were talking about.
They're the animals that made up hyperspace.
Yeah. Well, they're not the same. It's a different.
It's a different species.
But
they're sweet. Whatever.
He called them to it. He used the Force
so they could get a ride.
To animals, and this is like I was saying when we were watching it. This like Rebels really has focused on how the Force can. We all know that it flows through everything, but
Clone Wars
you really see it with Ezra and his abilities to use the Force with other animals and stuff. But that was good. I really enjoyed Ahsoka trying to find herself and really, I mean, during the Siege of Lothal, they were being chased by Vader, and they try to connect to him, and she doesn't believe it right away, but I believe that she knows that Anakin is Vader.
I think she always, after that knew, after that Siege of Lothal, but like, she didn't want to believe it. It's kind of like one of those things like, well, you know it's true, but you don't want to like believe it. Now it's like, she's in the Jedi Temple, and Anakin's spirit, because Anakin's dead supposedly because he's not Anakin anymore. Kind of calls out to her, kind of tells her, do you know it's your fault? Do you know what I've become? And like, I thought it was kind of interesting.
It was kind of like a callback to Empire, a little bit. When Luke was having visions. and they were very negative, and it's kind of like Anakin's with Padme in Episode 3. So I mean, we're getting down to the good stuff, people. We're finally gonna see. We're gonna see in like the next 3 or 4. We only got 3 or 4 episodes left, I think.
It's 3 real episodes.
But
and we have that.
But the finale,
another movie.
The finale is gonna show what the rest of the series is gonna be, because
we're already at the end of season 2, so
you only have so much time to go with.
I know. I'd probably say they at least got 2 seasons left.
2, yeah. I mean, they'll lead it up to Rogue One.
Yeah,
most likely.
So you probably maybe 3 more seasons. So you got about 5 seasons.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I love that.
For me.
Another positive was that I liked how they said that. I like how they made Yoda a little bit more vulnerable, because we all think Yoda is he's all powerful. Nobody can mess with him.
Which he is.
He was literally in fear. He told Ezra that he was afraid, and that he even goes out and says that the Jedi were consumed by the dark side, which is somewhat true, because in the Clone Wars there's a couple of Jedi that go rogue.
Like General Krell.
Yeah, Krell. Krell's a good one.
Who was actually one of Yoda's last students too, besides Count Dooku, I think, wasn't he?
I don't know. We'll have to look that.
I don't know,
up.
But I don't know. I know he was like, because I mean, he's a general in the Clone Wars, and I mean, a lot of them did go rogue because being the Jedi, going back to like even the Old Republic, they weren't supposed to, they're
peacekeepers. They're not.
They're not supposed to be. They are warriors, but they're not supposed to. They're only supposed to defend people if it's needed. And that kind of, and all that violence kind of, with certain people like Anakin, Krell, Count Dooku.
I think another good thing that I liked was that how Ezra realized who that was after she said who it was. After they saw the holocron and Anakin doing the moves, I thought that was interesting too, and how she was like describing him, and it was totally spot on to what she thought of him in the Clone Wars up until she left the Order. But and then just the look at when they're leaving, when they're escaping, Yoda shows up and finally reveals himself to Ahsoka. So Ahsoka knows that he's alive. I'm just trying to figure out why in the hell is nobody going to Dagobah? Why hasn't he not said anything to anybody? But that was a few things that I liked.
One thing I really liked was you have 3 different spiritual kind of things. You have obviously Ezra's a big one talking to Yoda. That's obviously, if you watch that, that's really big. 2, another one I think a lot of people overlook is when Kanan actually he goes in this room, and it's like it's like one of the old dojos. And if you guys have never paid attention to Clone Wars, the only people, at least in the modern, like we're talking modern Republican era from the movies, during that era that actually had yellow lightsabers, they were called the Guardians, and basically they were to protect the temple of the Jedi. They were like the last resort. They're really good warriors, but they're only used if they're really needed, and that's kind of interesting to see that they're still in temple. And it turns out one of them was the Grand Inquisitor. And then the third one, you have Ahsoka with Anakin. Obviously, that's huge. That was like one of my favorite parts of the trailer, because that's like from the trailer. It's like she talks to Anakin, and then she finally sees that he is Darth Vader. And that was kind of huge. Those 3 were really, really cool. At least
I mean, not every single episode is perfect. So right. I mean,
but they did end. They are ending the season on a strong note.
And when you watch it as like a whole binge watching season, I think this is going to be a great season to just binge watch, so that you don't have to watch it week to week, because it is. Especially when you're seeing the next 3 or 4 episodes.
Which it does go by quick.
There will be, I guarantee you, the one with Chopper. Chopper's base won't be one of my favorites, but
you hate Chopper.
Yeah.
I think he gives Chopper too hard time. Sure, he's no R2, but he has his moments. I think he deserves some credit sometimes. But yes, he is kind of a jerk, and he most of the time doesn't deserve a lot. But I don't think he's as bad as Lucas puts him out. But everyone has their opinions.
And another one, and like when Yoda tells Ezra to go to Markor, I don't remember what it was. Malachor. He it's like, yeah, I think it is a Sith temple. I think that's where they're gonna go to see that Sith temple that is there, that pyramid-looking thing in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they're going.
One thing about Star Wars that kind of pisses me off is they keep changing the name of the Sith world. There's Malachor.
They had multiple planets.
Yeah, I know they have multiple planets, but the main one
is Moraband.
But there's Moraband, then there's Korriban, but then in the video game they say Korriban is the main thing, so Korriban and the bands always get mixed up.
You gotta realize now that that's not really canon, so it's.
I know it's not canon, but it is a big time period in Star Wars.
I think they'll eventually make it canon. But anyways,
I hope.
Some of the things and it's really hard for me to really be nitpicky about this episode because I liked it so much.
Talking about Anakin's.
There were a little bit of things I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see him as he was in the Clone Wars and not changed a bit because it kind of
surprised me because they have the Lucasfilms rights.
Yeah,
so they could do it if they really wanted to.
They must have just said screw it, we're gonna go with what we've got.
And I mean, if you want to do your own thing, props to you. That's always good.
I mean, they're making more money than we are, but whatever.
We're all seeing your parents' basements. Yeah.
All right, but I also think they should have kept the look of Yoda from the Clone Wars, but you also have to go back to the original trilogy and see how he looks then. That's why they're doing it.
The reason why, not only is he older, but he's more fearful. So I think it better suits him to look like that. Even if he's not as old as we actually think he is, because I mean the dude lived for over 500 years, so I mean he's gonna be old, isn't he? Over 500 years, whatever. But yeah, so I think it better suits him because it really shows you how he's not weak necessarily, but he's frightened. I mean he got beat by Palpatine. I mean.
He's been in exile for 25 plus years now.
Yeah, I mean, and he felt all those deaths of his fellow Jedi. I mean, he's one of the only of the few Jedi left. So I mean, I feel like that was good.
Another thing that this is the most thing that irritated the crap out of me is when I know they're using it as a plot point because we all know that Vader and Ahsoka are gonna fight, but having her say there is a way. 2 other people tried that, and 2 other people died. So, why are you going to say that? You're not going to change him. Obviously not. The only person that can is his son. So, I mean, unless she gets him to the brink of where she can change him, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Vader's just going to come in and dominate. It's going to be like she's going to take a couple shots at him, and he's just going to back it down like, yo, son, you're nothing compared to what I am now. And I think he's going to take her life.
I think she's going to kill her, but I think it's going to be a lot harder than people think it is. I still think that I agree with you, Luke is probably one of the only guys, but again, you have to, the thing is, sorry, excuse me. I always thought of Ahsoka as his second daughter. Before he even had kids. I mean, he taught her. I mean, he was obviously heartbroken when she left. I think it's going to be really hard for him because he still has all that guilt, remember, from Padme dying. I think once if he does kill her, I think that's what really rises his anger and his power.
Yeah,
I think eventually
that will put him over the edge.
It will be hard for him to do that.
It will really make him the evil
guy
villain
that
we see throughout the original trilogy. He has to be feared somehow, and he's got to get that fear by first killing a bunch of younglings, then killing his.
He is the greatest Jedi killer of all time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, but that kind of like was just like, oh, here we go again. Somebody's gonna try to change him.
and honestly,
not gonna work.
Ahsoka would actually, if she went in thinking I can't change him, I need to put him down. He was my master at one point, but I need to, set him free. She probably would have a better chance. But if she goes in with that mindset, she will die.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that can do it, as we see in the originals, is Luke.
Which, I mean, actually, he had the mindset. He went into that final fight with the mindset of killing his dad, and he did.
Not originally.
Well, not originally.
He originally
but
said that. He said
at the after he talked about
at the end, he was like, "Well, I guess there's no going." Well, he gave in to his anger. His whole original thing was, "I'm going to save my father."
Right, and then
whether I die or I live.
Once he mentions Leia, then he kind of asks her.
Yeah, but I mean those are some nitpicky things out of a great episode.
Yeah, so really, I feel they're ending very strong. I mean, we can all say. I mean, I feel like it's actually kind of genius by the writers having these really kind of not dull, but just not up to the par where last season was. Because honestly, last season was pretty much action, pretty much all the time. I thought at least. I think it was a good way to build it up because you're like you have the viewer kind of going like, oh, okay, when is this going to come in? It finally comes and they're just freaking blown away. And I thought it was great.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a great next 3 weeks. We've got, it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. I'll tell you.
I wish I had this. I mean,
great.
I can speak for both of us. I wish, when I was in 3rd grade, the final Star Wars movie came out, and I was so bummed. And there really wasn't anything until the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars was okay. That was kind of cool to see, but if you're like 9 or 10 right now, you have no idea how lucky you are.
You're getting
you have another trilogy.
Year.
You have another trilogy. Next 5 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna be having one the next 50 years if they want to do it. They can go up all the way to 20 if they wanted to, if it makes them good money. But what did you have very many dislikes in this episode?
Honestly, there's just a few nitpicky. I'm not as picky, honestly, as Lucas is. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I don't like myself as we call ourselves. He's the Star Wars dictionary of the college performers. So you can kind of get why he's a little more nitpicky with this kind of stuff. For me, it was just the cost, the peril of Anakin really did kind of bug me. Her saying, Ahsoka saying that at the end, there's a way to change it, blah, blah, blah. Other than that, not really. I thought it was a really good episode besides those 2 things. So.
Predictions now. Darth Maul.
Yeah,
you think next episode? Are you thinking the finale? I'm thinking
2 episodes.
I'm thinking him and Vader have a showdown. I think Vader doesn't know Maul's alive. Well, he knows that he's alive, but they don't know what happened to him. So I think him and Vader have to hash it out at least once, or have a conversation. And then I think you get Ahsoka and Vader.
I think Vader won't kill him because if he's still alive, he knows it's because of Palpatine, and Vader does not want to cross Palpatine. Because right now, I don't think Vader is as powerful as he is in, say, Episode 5. Because Episode 5, he is probably pretty much at his peak.
Yep.
But yeah, I say next episode, we're probably not going to see
very much of the Force. I think it's going to be the other ones going out to.
I say the second to last episode we see Maul, and then that kind of puts Ezra in perspective to help him with the fight against Vader, I think.
Yep.
So that's what I think. But yeah.
Well, guys,
leave your guys' comments. Please give some subscribe so we can get this channel going.
We've got a big announcement. We've got some contacts, and we're gonna start Vader's Fist here.
Probably
hopefully, I want to start it. I want to do a couple episodes, maybe in April if we can do it. But definitely throughout the summer, and then we're gonna try to keep it going through whenever we don't want to do it. But it's gonna be a blast. Look out for it. It's called Vader's Fist. We're gonna talk about nothing but Star Wars. We're gonna talk about the comics, books, the movies, the video games, TV. The possibilities are endless.
Anything we'll talk about it. But yeah, hopefully late April, early May. I still have some school stuff to hash out, but and Lucas has his own stuff too. But hopefully around that time. Yeah, so look out for it. Thanks guys for watching, and sign off
May the force be with you.
as always.